Hey Glowforge, what the f happened? Over 6 years ago, Glowforge exploded onto the DIY scene with a product that appeared to be light years ahead of all of its competitors. With its Silicon Valley swagger and hordes of people trying to get a glimpse of that magic happening under that glass lid that is clearly Johnny Ives and Apple inspired. It was the first real smart laser cutter and engraver, even though it was annoyingly advertised as a 3D laser printer. My friend Wes hates that one. And it got immediately placed on everybody's want list, despite the outrageous price tag. And I was definitely caught up in that Glowforge fever. I caught the bug hard, as did my wife.
Glowforge! Is Daddy excited about it?
And we finally took the plunge, and our new machine arrived just after New Year's in 2020. And after 4 years with this machine, calling it a struggle would be an understatement. Our experience had been plagued with overheating issues, lack of functionality, lack of expandability, and long stretches of time with just not being able to cut anything on our laser, even simple materials. Now, I need to take a moment to address a couple things. Glowforge has a pretty large, dedicated, and die-hard community. I really love their machines. And that's great. I'm really happy for them. But I also know from personal friends and forums where I've participated and asked questions that an equally large number of people are leaving Glowforge and their services. In a pretty high number, for almost the same reasons that I'm ditching my machine. So why make this video? Why do I even care? What's the point? Here's why. Glowforge created a nearly perfect product, which is really difficult for me to come forward and admit. But it's true. Despite all their stiff competition with companies like Xtool and Thunder and others, they still created a near perfect product. They still have one of the best built and best looking machines on the market, but it only takes you so far. Instead of fixing the few problems that they've had over the last almost 6 years, they decided to release substandard follow-up machines that were diode based. Now, I understand why they did it. It hits the crafting market a little bit harder. It was a lower price point, but even those machines aren't that functional for their users. They're still making the same mistake over and over again. I don't think they really understand what their customers need and what their customers want. For one thing, the diode machines are grossly underpowered. A fraction of the power of other machines that are half their cost, which means that they're shipping out something that is an attractive package, but still does not allow for good, consistent functionality for their users. I don't understand how you make that decision as a company. In addition, the result of the Glowforge Aura and the Glowforge Spark is causing people to return their machines in droves, and there's a lot of very upset people in the forums, once again, that I've gone and checked out. And for a lot of people, it sounds like they can't get rid of their machines fast enough. That is a huge failure as a company. So here I am 4 years later, with a machine that's probably in need of repairs, even though it has not been used for that many work hours. And last I checked, and I know this information could have changed since then, but to get a factory replaced tube costs between $600 and $1,000. And it doesn't seem like they have a good way for a consumer to replace it on their own. Once again, last I heard, things could have changed, but it doesn't seem like it was part of their original model, which they really should have figured in because laser tubes fail. They diminish in power over time. And that's a really big deal for a machine that you depend on for its power usage, whether it's for engraving or cutting. And for all those people out there that were told they could start a small business with this machine, even though it's kind of like this downward slope of functionality. And even if I did get a new tube for this machine, it doesn't correct and help with the other issues that I've had with overheating, not being able to cut thicker material, not being able to run tumblers, which is one of the most basic things to run on a laser right now. The truth of the situation is that Glowforge doesn't really want to invest that much in their machines. At least it doesn't look that way, especially when you examine all the updates that they do to their line in software and not really in hardware. Glowforge really isn't a laser company. Glowforge is a software and information company. And if you go back and you watch the first video I made about Glowforge, about 6 months after having a Glowforge, take a look at what I said about having to send your file through their servers before it's ready to work on the machine. What I didn't know is that the Glowforge servers act as a type of big brother when using your machine. It looks at and monitors pretty much all activity that happens on the Glowforge. Every design you upload gets filtered through the Glowforge servers and probably even gets stored there to a degree. Now, if that doesn't matter to you, it's probably not that big of a deal. They were using that information to build their AI model without your expressed and explicit permission. There's been issues with this from day one, and they've been upfront about this part of it, but not why. So from day one, users had to upload their designs that run through the Glowforge server. That way they get processed and sent back to the machine to run the job. That was pretty clear. That was upfront even before getting the machine. If anybody does any research, we know that's the way it typically works. It shouldn't have to work that way, but that's the way they set it up. But this process was not just to run at the optimal settings on the machine. Those files were being used to build their AI model, which is now built into their web-based software. And their current software appears to be nothing more than a microtransaction platform for users to buy their way to creating with a design that might be saleable in an already crowded market. I know that some people argue with me on this, and that's okay. And you might find a lot of value in it, and that's perfectly fine. I'm lucky in this sense, since I have a background in design and I have the tools to be able to make everything on my own. I know there's a lot of people that are still learning how to design and to create, and for people that want to do something fast, I understand the value in Glowforge's software. I'm still going to stand by that it is way overpriced, but the fact that they are putting more time and effort into that side of their business instead of the lasers, which really should be the backbone of the company, is really disappointing. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. I know this whole video sounds like all I want to do is crap all over Glowforge, but I guarantee that is not actually the case. I'm making this video for a much bigger reason. In fact, I really want Glowforge to succeed. Once again, I know that sounds strange, but here's why. They created a near perfect product, and they are a US company. There are not that many laser manufacturers that are US based. I know that there are a few that have offices here, that might do assembly here, but Glowforge, along with maybe one or two others, are the only ones that I think really can say like American made on them. And that's kind of rare. And I like the idea of supporting American companies when it makes sense to do so. I understand the issues with that statement, but they create a near perfect product, and it's made in the United States. Something that we don't get to champion very often. And it's frustrating. But when a company refuses to innovate and even try to keep up with the competition, it's near impossible to continue to support that company no matter what country of origin that company is from. So with that, it's time to bid adieu to Glowforge and say hello to the laser that's going to be taking its place. But that is for another video. That about wraps up this video. I do have a little bit more commentary about the Glowforge, and I'm going to put those in the comments below and I'll pin them. And it has to do with the new lasers that Glowforge did release, being in the Glowforge HD. But I don't want to just shoehorn it in here. It'll be in the comments. And if you have any other comments or feedback, or you think if I'm being unfair towards Glowforge, let me know. I'd like to hear all the comments. Remember, I really want to continue to like the laser and the company, but until they make some changes, I'm going to have to say goodbye. But stay tuned for the next video where I get to unveil my new CO2 laser here and show that off. And stay tuned for all the new content that we have coming out. We have about 4 or 5 videos already in production. Don't forget to design, make, and play. Check out our Patreon. I'll see you next time.